Hey everyone, welcome back to the Remote Yogi. I am psyched today to be doing another interview with one of my soul sisters that I met recently. It's one of those amazing things when you meet people and it's just an instant connection, and that's happened with my girl Stacey. I met Stacey Sexton at the Spirit Junkie Masterclass 2.0 this October with Gabby Bernstein, and I'm so excited to share her with you because she is just one of those glowing energies that you just want to get to know more. Even like through her social media, you can just feel her enthusiasm for the things that she's working on. So we're going to talk a little bit about Spirit Junkie, oils, other amazing work she's doing. Without further ado, I'll introduce you to half healthy mom here, Stacey Sexton.
It can be a bit of a tongue twister. I get it.
Half healthy.
Thank you so much for having me, girl. It's so good to see you again.
You too. I'm again so excited you're on here, and we've actually tried to film this interview before, and the fun of travel is sometimes the internet just randomly goes out at a cafe. So we're doing it again. So pumped though. It's always one of those fun things where getting to show off my friends is the best.
It feels good to have you too. So this feels good. I feel you're in Bali, so I just feel all those good vibes from all the way over here in DC. So feeling better this time.
Send you some of the warmth. Well, let's just dive in, like kind of how we started as friends at the Spirit Junkie Master Course. So obviously you got introduced to Gabby Bernstein and her teaching at some point, kind of got into the spirituality stuff. Kind of start your journey there. Like what got you interested in Gabby Bernstein and what led you to the Spirit Junkie Masterclass?
You know, I love hearing our stories of how we got pulled to this, because it's something really little. You notice that just like sends you on a completely different trajectory. And it's so beautiful to reflect back and just see how a really small decision just created this massive ripple effect. So Gabby's still relatively new for me. She's only about 2 years kind of in my life as a teacher. And I remember like hearing her name for the longest time. And it wasn't until I was near the end of my second pregnancy and I was really struggling a lot with the art of surrender at the end of my second pregnancy. And at this point, I was an entrepreneur. I was very much in the throes of my work, and I was really struggling with how this new baby was going to put me back into that newborn stage, that really chaotic but incredible chapter of life. And I found the universe has your back. And I remember just feeling like the words were written for me at that time. And they really carried me and gave me the strength to let my hands off the wheel a bit, because I am a self-realized control freak in a lot of ways. And so after that, I was just sort of hooked. I loved her direct style of communication, but really talking about some deeper lessons in life. So I felt like, wow, this woman really speaks my language, and I could connect with it so easily. And then after that, I just really craved more of her teaching style, because I was like, give me all the people who, have beautiful language, but I really loved just her everyday kind of woman's spirit. So I immediately, that summer, I did her Spirit Junkie Masterclass level 1. I did that one virtually. And then
I did that one virtually as well. And then you're just like
I'm going to do more. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to do everything I can to be at the next one in person. And so I just immediately set that intention summer 2017. I was like, I'm not going to do the one this fall, but level 2, 2018, it is done. It's happening. And so it just was meant to be. And it was so cool to get my booty over there and to have that time alone too at Spirit Junkie Masterclass. I mean, like, it was so cool that we got connected with one another, but there was so much quiet space in it too. It's really needed. So
yeah, and like the whole week was pretty transformational. For those who are familiar with Gabby Bernstein's work, she's a spiritual leader who just comes in the space and just makes crazy change, helps us kind of break down limiting beliefs about ourselves, and just kind of understand metaphysics in a way that's like less like woo-woo crazy. Like I kind of connected more because you just chatted in such a real level to me.
Yeah.
So Stacey, tell us a little bit more about like maybe your experience at the week of, like maybe some of the personal hurdles you jumped through, or even just like throughout her teachings, like what specific things did you gain from that experience?
I really went in there asking for clarity because I felt like I had been at this point in life where I have picked up so many things that have felt good over the last couple of years and have really kind of opened up a lot of different containers, so to speak, that all felt really good, but I really needed some clarity. And so I really went there craving the quiet because, again, I have 2 little kids. So I get little pockets of my day that I have to work really efficiently in, but sometimes it can just still feel like there's a lot of floating noise around me. So I just loved having a week to myself, having more time for meditation, to be chanting mantras with other women in a room and like just feel that energy. I mean, there's something to be said about just the art of showing up to something. And I felt that was really palpable the minute I walked into that room and realized these other women, we might be doing different things and in different chapters of our life, but there's like a beautiful common thread between all of us. And that was really something that hit me the moment I got there. And I needed that medicine too. So I did get clarity. We did so much writing that week.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was this perfect blend of lecture and putting things into practice and breaking out into small groups and meditating and being quiet and being social. And so it's just, I need more weeks like that in my life, by the way. So any woman, I think you have to prioritize carving out space in your life around things like that. It might not be Gabby for you, but I think there's so much magic that happens when you get out of your house, get out of your routine, and go somewhere and just sit with yourself and sit with other people that can kind of see your magic too, or inspire you to bring out your magic a little bit more. It was so good. So good. Absolutely the medicine that I needed. We cried, we laughed, we cried some more.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we did. It was, yeah, exactly what I needed. And again, like it just comes back to, especially women coming together in circle, coming together in community and supporting each other and releasing this like competitive mindset, because a lot of us who are there are in the same kind of industries. We're kind of doing similar things. And it wasn't at all about competition. It was about how can I lift you up? Because, it's this belief that when one woman rises, others rise with her. And it's that, I rise for me and you and all of she together. So
I have my goosebumps right now because that was such a big thing for me too, because I remember we were given space to practice talks and speeches, if you will. And I remember just getting hit with like this wave coming over me, every single woman that got up there. And this, like everyone was so good. And then the magic to me was that instead of feeling like, oh, I want to shrink, I'm not as good, it made you just feel like you were given more permission to go and stand up there and do your thing too. And that is so special. And I think that is really the paradigm in which we're living in right now. Yeah. That we know that like there is space for everyone to really live their craft and to, again, maybe have similar messaging, but really understanding like the power of you delivering it. Oh, it's so cliche, but it like really brings it to life. And I thought that was really cool to live it, to just say like, seeing that other woman go up there on the stage and rock it, I was like, I want to go rock it instead of, like I don't want to hide. I don't want to, like, I'm not comparing myself to her. I am just truly inspired and I want to rise and do what she's doing. That was such a freaking cool feeling.
And it was also like Gabby Bernstein, like being so relatable and real. Like you just got a feeling from her that she was like another human being up there with flaws, but also fucking rocking it. Sorry for my language, but like so good.
Well, you doing that tells me that I can curse now. I won't like go overboard, but
Yeah, I don't know. It's my bloggers know me. But and I definitely want to dive into your business, like really chat oils and things. But you've kind of already mentioned a few things that I want to dive into. A lot of my readers, a lot of my audience, they're moms, or if they're not moms, they're like me and they have business babies, and it feels like they have a million children running around. And you kind of talked about having to carve out the space to be an entrepreneur, having to carve out the space to take care of your self-care. Walk us through what it's like being a mom with 2 young babies and an entrepreneur at the same time. How are you handling that?
It's some days not well, to be completely honest. It's not always pretty. It's very rarely pretty. But I actually didn't even become an entrepreneur until having my first. So I worked in corporate America for several years. I was in the advertising world, and it was a complete bad fit for me. On paper, everything looked really well. I was good at my work, but literally my soul was dying. And I had a lot of physical repercussions of that. So my physical health really, really, the bottom fell out after I had my daughter, when I was in that nasty kind of postpartum phase, where, you know, if you're going into pregnancy not at peak health, you know, it makes a lot of sense that just all the changes that your body goes through, it's a lot. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I actually never felt more beautiful and powerful as I did after having birth, but also the reality was that it was really hard on my physical body too. So I didn't even become an entrepreneur. I had to hit my rock bottom to see really where my life path was taking me. And I had to say yes to myself and what I was really good at and what I had natural interest in. So I think my daughter was maybe about 9 months when I really started answering that call a little bit. And again, that's why I go back to then when I had my son 2 years ago, and I was kind of like in the weeds with having this business, and I'm freaking out again because I'm like, I know what postpartum does. And so it's this intricate dance, being a mother of young children and doing work. And I honor every single woman who, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a working mom, maybe at an office 9 to 5, or if you're kind of doing what I do, which is just trying to find that ever elusive balance. I don't like using that word, but it really means that I had to get so crystal clear on what I wanted to do so that I could make the most out of my pockets and my day. And like I said, going back to Spirit Junkie Masterclass, I started, like, things were really clear. Then I started opening up all these different things, and kind of like things have been expanding for me, which is really incredible. And I'm so grateful for all of that. But then I needed to kind of like hone back and refine some things again. So that's what I feel like my eternal struggle, if you will, is kind of like prioritizing. That's the biggest word, you know, prioritizing. That's what you have to be really clear about. There's nothing like, I mean, I'm telling you, a woman who can only have maybe 2 hours a day doing the nap time hustle, if you will, she is a force. You know, she is a force, but you just have to know what it is that you're working towards.
Yeah.
You know, you really be able to answer that within you of like, what do I love most? I'm not going to tune out that voice, because everything that you love is so important in guiding you to your soul's purpose here. And then what do I need to do to live that out, you know, to serve in that way? So some days my kids do not follow their quote unquote routine. And sometimes I'm like, okay, hands off the wheel. I'm just going to accept it. And then other days I'm like,
it's that surrender that you talked about, surrender, just so hard. But I think like you also touched on it so beautifully. A lot of what I coach my clients on, and just with friends chat about, is how important it is to really take the time to reflect on what we actually want, what our actual drivers are, what makes us feel good. Because oftentimes we get caught up in like what we should be doing, and then it doesn't give us the right energy to actually make any of it happen. But when we find the things that actually like propel us naturally forward, it's so much easier. Then we really can just kind of like, all right, universe, give me the energy to make this happen because this is what I need to do. And it's such a different experience than like following the shoulds.
Yes, I followed the shoulds for way too long because that's part of the world that we've been living in, of like this very narrow view of what success is. And a lot of the previous generation is just, you know, so in line with that. And my parents aren't exempt from that. So, I mean, again, I had this really good career path laid out for me and corporate advertising. I worked for really great companies and had a lot of opportunity there and literally couldn't stand it. And that's not to say that someone else's soul work can't be that. You could totally, like, there are a lot of people who are meant to work in corporate America and no shame on that. But I think that there's a lot of people who aren't, but who look great on paper and then are sitting back and thinking, but why do I hate this? I shouldn't hate this. I have the marriage that I'm supposed to have. I have the 2.5 kids that I'm supposed to have, but why do I want something more? Or why do I want something that looks different? Wait, I have this big house, but why do I want to move back into a city and downsize? Like, it's like, don't question why you want something. I think that's just, it's just part of the conditioning, the deconditioning that we need to do. You know, like, we're not all meant to live the same way. You're such a prime example of that too. You know,
I'm a prime example of starting off on the wrong track too, of like, okay, I'm doing all the checklists, I'm graduating school, I'm buying a house, I'm getting married, boom, boom, boom. And I never really stopped to think, like, is this what I really want though? Like, really? So, I mean, I figured it out, thank God, but I think there's so many people that get down that path and they feel so trapped. So that's tough. And especially the corporate trap. Tell us a little bit about what that was like. What business kind of leapt out for you? What did you start doing to get out of corporate America?
Well, really, my daughter, who's my firstborn, she was my ticket out of corporate America. I didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do next. I just knew I can't do this anymore. Like, my body, at that point I was 28 and I was literally crumbling. And I was like, I am supposed to be this vivacious soul. I don't know, like, I had just lost myself. I was sitting at my job every day, literally sweating out cortisol like a fiend. I was shaking. I was doing everything I could to look like I was performing at my job, but I wasn't. I mean, I was this absolutely just stressful, anxiety-ridden mess, and I had anxiety attacks that landed me in the hospital, and they looked very different. So my health was just taking this major downturn. And so I had a conversation with my husband, and we're like, look, we can make it work on one salary. You want to do the stay-at-home mom thing? Let's do it. And I thought I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And then probably very quickly into it, I was like, don't think so. And again, I totally validate that some women are meant to do it and they will light up doing it. But I was then kind of struggling in that. And so, again, there was a lot of really ugly moments there of losing myself, trying something that didn't work, and hitting some real lows for a few years there. And it was really when I just started to take control of my health again. And I really felt the call to go a more natural route. That kind of like re-stirred up some earlier passions in my life from when I was a child. And so that was my coming home to myself, getting back in my physical body, going back to some childhood interests. And so I really started diving into holistic wellness, cleaning up my diet and what I was fueling my body with, and really kind of going into essential oils. And that was the key that really unlocked my joy. So
I love that you bring up the physical part too, because I think oftentimes, like in the holistic kind of spiritual realm, if you will, there's this kind of attitude of like, it's more than the physical, which, yeah, it's true, but also like we're physical beings living a physical existence. And I think most people are led to, whether it's spirituality or just like better mindset, personal growth, whatever it is, they're led to it by some kind of physical ailment that like wakes them up, that like shows them something different. Like I found it through yoga. A lot of my students found it through yoga or breath work. You found it kind of through the essential oils and that sort of thing. So I think that's super important, that like we can honor the fact that the physical symptoms help lead us to like greater things, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when you are getting hit with something physical, that's when you know your body and your soul has kind of hit its last resort, right? Because so we know that we have our emotional body, our spiritual body, our aura. And so these little disturbances, they start kind of outside of ourselves. And then they just, if you ignore it, if you brush it off, it kind of goes another level and deep. And then, that stress becomes anxiety, and then that anxiety becomes chronic migraines. It becomes adrenal fatigue, like it did for me. And so now what I know is that, wow, when my body is really physically imbalanced, that's its last resort. It's like, I tried talking to you a few different ways. So because you didn't listen, now we're here. And so I absolutely, I feel like one of the best ways that you can honor your spiritual self is actually by honoring your human self. To me, they're not separate. They're equal. Fully human, fully God. That describes every single one of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So oils.
Okay.
How did oils help heal whatever physical ailments you're going through? I think that's like really mind-boggling to most people, like how some simple oils can help you like profoundly change your life. So break that down for me.
Okay, so the thing is, essential oils were man's first medicine, right? Plants, we know this. They have so many healing properties. And I think what's really so incredibly cool is that in the West, we went so far away from that, but the pendulum is sort of like swinging to this like really nice equilibrium where it's like what the West is really great at is like you cut your arm off. I'm so glad that we have Western medicine. You know what I mean? But day-to-day living, like trauma, give me Western medicine. But for day-to-day living and true wellness, proactive lifestyles, that's where essential oils are incredible tools. And so they help you from the very, very physical. I mean, you can use essential oils for a tummy ache. You can use it for supporting your immune system. You can use them for emotional support. You can use them for better sleep. You can use them for spiritual purposes too. So what a dynamic tool, because an essential oil is basically harnessing a very, very potent version of a plant's energetic footprint and its immune system. So you're getting something that speaks so efficiently. Like if everyone kind of goes back to 10th grade biology and you're like looking at a plant cell and an animal cell, they're really not that different. And so there's this beautiful synergy between those two things. So when an essential oil is working with our body, either through inhalation or topically on our skin, it's able to just have like the most direct line of communication with our body than anything else. And so we've just gotten to a really nice place where we are able to more efficiently and effectively distill these oils and make sure that they're pure and the right quality and are safe for us to be using. So it's just, I think, an incredible time to be alive where we can have all of these tools at our disposal. Mm-hmm. So that is like the most top level way of describing essential oils, and honestly why I love them so much. And I use them every single day in all of those different ways that I explained. The very, very physical, the emotional, the spiritual, for anything.
How did they help with like your personal healing as you were kind of getting started with the whole doTERRA
So
industry?
it started very physical because again, like my body was so run down. I needed something. My immune system just didn't work anymore. It didn't work very well. My hormones were completely just, they weren't there. I don't know how my body was functioning. I ended up working with a functional diagnostic nutritionist and FDN. And so we did all this lab work on my body. My body was just this hot mess express. And so I used essential oils in the very, very beginning from really just a place of keeping my body not getting sick all the time. Because, I was on like that cycle of stress. I'd be like so anxious and stressed and I had no immune system. And then your immune system is run down, so you're more likely to be anxious and stressed. So I was on that hamster wheel. So I really was first using them to just very proactively help myself not get colds, not get run down, and give myself more energy and things like that. And then very quickly, by doing so, I was blown away by the power of them. Because for years prior, I was like the girl who was always buying like a bottle of lavender at every single grocery store that I went to. And it wasn't until I made the shift that I started. I work with doTERRA now. So that's the brand that I used. And so I got some of their oils and I was like, wow, I can really tell a difference here with the quality and how they're supporting my body. Mm-hmm. So it started with that. And then I just became more of a believer in the oils. And so then I started really leaning on them for more of that actual stress and giving myself some grounding energy and some more hormone support. So then I got really into supporting my hormones with these beautiful plants. Again, there's so much synergy with our hormones and plants. And it just kind of like, for me, like the can of worms, like Pandora's box just opened and I just sort of like detoxified my whole life. I use them for skincare now. I use them for everything. They're like my first line of defense in my life. And it's so cool.
Mm-hmm. I get it. Like, I wish I could travel with way more as like, I live out my suitcase. I've got this like little box of maybe 8 or 10 at one time. I'm always kind of rotating out. That being said, like I've got my 8 to 10 that I like know really work for me. Mm-hmm. If somebody was just getting started, which oils would you say? I know lavender, of course. Like the best one, I think. But what other oils would you suggest and why would you suggest each one? Yeah, so lavender is a goodie, a good quality lavender, because lavender is like one of the few oils that's just, every oil can do more than one thing. That's the cool thing there. No oil is a one-trick pony just because of all the different chemical constituents that they have and the way it's going to work with your body versus my body. But lavender specifically is like the Swiss Army knife. It can do so much. I mean, we think of like the calming, like everyone thinks lavender is going to help me sleep. Full disclosure, lavender is not one of my top oils for me personally for sleep. I have found so many other options that work for that. But lavender, those same calming qualities that it has from linalool, it is also really calming to skin. So if you get bug bites, if you get burns, if you have a rash or something like that, lavender is so good at healing and calming. It also has antihistamine qualities, so you can rub it over the bridge of your nose if you have allergies or stuff like that. So anyway, lavender is a goodie. I also live by peppermint. My life is sponsored by peppermint because, again, as a mom, I'm always needing more energy. So I huff it, I put a few drops on my fingertips, and I massage it on my scalp, and then I just feel like a new woman. And frankincense, again, a good quality frankincense is so vital for everyone. Love frankincense. It is so, I love frankincense. That is another it's nicknamed the king of oils. And I always say, if it was good enough for baby Jesus, it is good enough for me. So I love frankincense and everyone needs to have it. Again, it's so good for cell support. It really, in a gentle way, gets healthy cells to kind of replenish themselves a little bit more efficiently. It's one of the most anti-inflammatory oils out there, kind of fights free radicals too. And
I'm trying to think of some others. I also love melaleuca. Other people might know it as tea tree oil.
Mm-hmm.
That's another Swiss Army knife
Mm-hmm.
oil because it's gentle, but it's antiseptic, it's antifungal, it's antiparasitic, and so, so good. And
It's one of those oils that I just like anytime there's any issue, I'm like, throw some tea tree on it. Like anything I need
yeah,
to clean.
I mean, it smells really medicinal, but it's actually really gentle. So it's a powerhouse, but gentle. So yeah, lavender, frankincense, and melaleuca are three of those that just like do so much, but they're really gentle on the skin too. So I like them. Those are some of the top ones. And then I could get really specific into certain blends that, like, for instance, doTERRA has. There's one called Clary Calm that is a hormone blend. And probably right after peppermint, that's another one that, like, if I was sent to a remote island, that would have to be something that comes with me because it is just this really incredible blend that smells really beautiful, but also like keeps my hormones in check. And I fell in love with that one after my son was born 2 years ago. I was like, okay, can't do life without this anymore. Just kind of keeps you emotionally more even keel, helps with cramping if you encounter that while you begin your cycle and things like that. And there's been incredible stories of women who struggle with fertility or struggle with a consistent cycle or struggle with a heavy flow or things like that. It just really, it doesn't ever cease to amaze me the stories that people have with plants.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I love that.
So I'll stop there because
those are all the citrusy ones and everything else. But yeah, I think that's a good starter.
That's a good little starter.
Yeah. And then like how you've kind of mentioned a few options, like maybe rubbing it on certain parts of the skin, whatever.
Yeah.
How else can people use oils in their daily life? Like what other options are there?
Yeah, so just really quickly, there's 3 ways that you can use an essential oil: aromatically, topically, and some of them you can do internally. So the most common way that we're going to do that is aromatically. That's the least questionable for some people. Like if you're like brand new and you're like, I don't know about this, like aromatically is just the easiest way to go. So what you can do is, I ironically don't have an oil by me right now. Who am I? But you can take a drop of an oil and place it in the palm of your hands, rub together, and cup it over your nose, and that's called self-diffusing. And so, especially with oils that are really good for stress management and anxiety, that's what I encourage people to do a lot. We have diffusers in every room of our house, and we're constantly diffusing something to set the mood. We have different oil combinations in the morning to wake us up. We have something just like really yummy during the middle of the day, and then we kind of switch over to some nighttime vibes. So it's really fun to be able to shift to the energy really quickly with your smell. Your smell is connected to the oldest part of your brain too. So when you smell something, you are directly affecting your mood, your memory, and your hormones, which is just fascinating. We underestimate the power of our most primal instinct, which is insane to me. And then topically, depending on the oil, you want to dilute it often with a carrier oil. So that's like fractionated coconut oil, olive oil, jojoba oil, anything like that. Because again, these tiny bottles, they are so potent. Hopefully the one that you're buying is potent. That's a good thing. You want it to be potent. You don't want it diluted already. You don't want it cut with something. So anyway, applying it topically. I love that for immune support. I love that for hormone support. And so also anxiety or something, putting something over your heart center is so effective at calming the body. I didn't mention this earlier, but I'm a Reiki master too. So I use these oils in so many different capacities, and I feel like it's such a gift to be able to connect with women and really show them how they can take care of their emotional self first, and kind of see the ripple effects that happen when you really frame your wellness from that perspective. Like, how can I just love on my heart a little bit more? How can I just keep myself emotionally feeling really healthy and good? And then notice how that affects my immune system, how that affects my sleep, how that affects the woman I show up as every single day. How does that connect me back to my personal power? So I didn't even get to that part of what I do, but I mean, there's endless opportunities.
Don't worry. I was going to take it there.
So yes, the opportunities are endless. And just really quickly, if internally, there are some oils that you can take internally that I know some people are really open to, and some people need a little bit more time to get acquainted with their oils before doing that. And I always meet people where they are with their oil usage. So doTERRA does really nicely. They put on their bottles, there's a supplemental facts little logo on there, so you know an oil could be taken internally, because some are not meant for that. So, but I use that primarily for, like, frankincense. I take that internally every single day because it is so anti-inflammatory. It's really good for the cells. It's just a nice, gentle immune support. So most of the time when you're taking it internally, it's either to, like, really boost your immune system. Like if I feel a cold coming on, I don't mess around with that shit. I hit it straight up. I go to town with my oils and then some just daily immune support.
When I found a little bit of lemon essential oil in my water when I'm traveling,
it's been there's really that helpful. So. Exactly. You get some, like, really easy antioxidants there. And for people who just have a hard time drinking water, like plain water, I always encourage them to put just like a drop of orange or lemon or lime or something like that, and completely kind of makes them excited about water again.
Yeah. And like topically, like, I am obsessed with witch hazel and a little tea tree on my face. Like, it's like the perfect toner for me. Yeah. I just splash a little of both on and rub it on my face. That's really nice.
I'm telling you, if you start, like, when women start swapping out products, like more conventional products for essential oils, or like making kind of their own stuff, or maybe getting something that's really, really naturally based, I think there's this concept that it won't be effective, that it won't do what they want it to do. But I honestly have never had better skin in my life than when I started cleaning up and detoxifying my skincare. So I just have to give that a shout out too.
No, always absolutely. Like, honestly, I suffer from a lot of hormone issues as well. I get my hormones out of whack really easily, especially if I'm using, like, a natural fragrance. And that's almost all products. And so it really throws my hormones out of whack really easily. So I started making my own products.
There you go.
6 years back. And I used to have a business when I lived in the US where I would sell natural products because, I was so frustrated at how much it affected my health.
Yeah.
How hard it was to find clear, good products. So I'm definitely a fan of DIY everything as much as possible. So
it's so fun. I love being a little kitchen witch. It's just my happy place. I've been that way my whole life.
I'm brewing things. Like, that's just my witchy side as well. And I was actually going to take it there over to some of the energy work that you're doing outside of just the oils. How did that lead you into Reiki, and what is Reiki for those who don't know?
Okay, so Reiki, to overly simplify it, it was divinely downloaded by a man named Dr. Usui in the late 1800s in Japan. So it's a Japanese practice. It's not associated with a religion, but it's understanding that we all have this universal life force energy within us. And in Japanese, they call it ki. So Reiki means universal life energy. Chinese, it's chi, prana, Holy Spirit. It goes by all these different names, right? But understanding that we have that within us, and we don't feel well, or our physical body gets upset when we have too many blockages in that life force energy. So when you become trained in Reiki and go through the different levels of it, you're learning techniques to essentially become a glorified teapot for another person. That's what I like to call it.
Glorified teapot. Explain that one to me. That's a new one.
So it's a gentle laying of hands on someone. And so as a Reiki practitioner or Reiki master, you're laying your hands on the different chakra points, you're scanning their body, you're seeing where the blockages are, and then you're gently guiding the energy to unblock, to balance, to strengthen, to, you know, if something's overactive, to chill the fuck out, you know what I mean? But understanding that I am not the one creating this energy. I'm being a vessel for it and helping to, I'm just being a conductor for it. We're all conductors of energy. And I have the personal belief that we're all here to heal ourselves, and we're all here, it's a gift to be able to help each other heal. That is what I think one of the most natural things that humans do for themselves and for each other. And we've gotten so disconnected from understanding that power with us. It's not an egotistical power. It's just the way that it is, that we are these energetic beings, and that we're meant for this. We're divine. And, you know, I keep going back to that. We're fully divine and we're fully human. And so I think what an honor it is to be able to help someone's healing process in a really gentle way, and by including human touch. And I incorporate the oils, I incorporate crystals. You don't have to, but those are things that I personally incorporate because those are part of my love language. Those are things that I connect to my whole life. So honestly, how did I get to Reiki? You know what? I have a good friend who's a psychic medium.
Oh.
And she just kept telling me, she was like, you need to go do Reiki, at least level 1. Level 1 is all about learning how to kind of heal yourself. And I was like, okay. And she just kept saying it. And I was like, fine, I'll go do it. You know, and I just had to wait till my soul was ready to do it. And then when I started doing it, I was like, oh shit, I really love this. I really love this. And I'm a go person, like you know. Yeah. There's a lot of movement within me. There's a lot of fire energy within me. But there is something, so powerful about kind of like being still for yourself, for someone else. And just, again, taking some really intentional time to connect with that energy. So when I'm doing a Reiki session for someone, whether long distance or in person, because energy knows no bounds, right? When you become a master level, you understand certain symbols and certain ways to kind of be a conductor of that energy long distance. But again, I'm not creating this energy. It's not like you don't have this like God complex, you know? It's a very, humble practice, because you're realizing I'm just connecting to what's above, and I'm allowing it to flow through me and to just connect with my inner intuition that we all have, and to help this other person. It is such a gift to be able to do that. So when I do Reiki, I do it. I do it a few days a week, because I have to really prepare myself for it.
Right.
You know, it's usually my Thursday and Friday things that I do, actually. And it's so nice. It's so beautiful, and I love it. And I love how mainstream it's becoming. It's happened really fast. And when you kind of know the history of why that is, it was like kept very private, kept very secretive almost. It was, the lessons were not written down for decades. So it's really just sort of boomed in the West, and probably the last 20 years. It's kind of crazy. There were like literally 30 years ago, maybe in the United States, maybe 30 Reiki masters.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's everywhere now. And
everywhere now.
I love it. And I'm not trained or certified or anything, but there's something like my friend who's a Reiki master. She taught me this when I'm feeling really anxious or stressed. I just like hold my hands together, rub them together, and I say Reiki on. And then I like put my hands, my head between my hands, and literally like it goes silent. It's crazy. So it's just like, it's fun to play around with your own energy and what you can do.
Exactly. And that's the thing, like everyone has it. It's just some people have to practice it more. It's like a muscle, you know. It's same with intuition and things like that, and kind of downloading messages or connecting to the other side. Like I've had to like really flex that muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, but it's meant for everyone. I absolutely believe like self-healing, healing one another, downloading messages from the divine, from spirit guides, like that, to me, that is just normal.
Yeah. Well, and
know?
I think the other amazing thing about your story and mine and almost every other leader I speak with is that the things that we do, the things that we share are because we've had to experience our own healing through it. And it's a reminder to everyone out there that like you're totally capable of your own healing. Like we are here helping you only because we figured it out ourselves. Like we're all capable of figuring it out ourselves. Sometimes you just need that like nudge or that person to push you to go do Reiki or that person to like push you to go, do Spirit Junkie training. That's what I needed. So it's great.
I know. Again, it's like little things when I think of like, again, just someone telling me over and over, you got to read this book. You got to read the Gabby Bernstein book, or you got to go to Reiki. You got to go to Reiki. You need to do it. I'm like, okay. So
yeah.
We're in those little decisions.
Oh, love it. Well, I want to make sure I get some other goodness in before we close up, but you're doing Reiki, you're doing oils, you're on Instagram. And for those of you who are really interested in getting started, maybe in oils or spirituality, she posts stories almost every day that inspire me, that get me pumped up about oils, but also like her healing practices that she does. So if you're looking for the inspiration, I'll make sure to link to all of her profiles, but Instagram's probably the best place to be. What else are you up to, Stacey? You got Reiki, you got oils. What else are you working on?
So I actually have a really big next thing. And this actually, I kept this so quiet, Taryn, but this actually came to me at Spirit Junkie Masterclass. And this is one of the things that like I got the clarity on, but I was still sort of like fighting it a little bit. And then about a week after Spirit Junkie Masterclass, something happened and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to pursue this. So I am creating a product and a side brand. So currently the best place to find me is on Instagram, like Taryn said, Half Healthy Mom. That's where I am. And it's sort of, there is business there, but it's a lot of personal stuff too. So you kind of you get all facets of me. And something that really has been a huge part of my healing and what I've noticed being a Reiki master is so much of women's imbalance with our sacral chakra, our sexual energy, our joyful energy. There's so many women living with really that part of themselves completely suppressed, whether going back to the beginning of our conversation, shooting themselves to death, and so anyway, I just really believe that the way that we heal ourselves, a big way that we heal ourselves, is connecting back to that sacral energy, connecting to that sexual energy in a really healthy way, that creative energy. So I am with another person. We are co-creating this brand and a product that's an intimate oil. Yes, and I'll just say it on here. So it's going to be called the sex oil. It is what it is. Okay. We're not, it's just not meant to be around the bush, because I don't think that we're living in a day and age where we can be not owning our healing fully anymore. So I'm so excited. So again, this is an intimate oil, and it's this beautiful blend of essential oils, but also some infusions at home using crystals, using energy of the moon. And it's this yummy smell that definitely has the ability to heighten sensation. You can use it as a massage oil on your sacral chakra. So for anyone who doesn't know, I imagine your audience knows what their sacral chakra is, but it's their lower belly.
Yeah.
This is your seat, the chakra system. Like, this is your seat of creation. This is where the womb is, whether you have a child or not. Like, as a woman, like, this is our seat of where we create. Like, we have that power within us. It's also where we manifest, where we experience pleasure. And there's just such a disconnect from women understanding the power of their pleasure, the power of playfulness. So I just was like, okay, sex oil. Here we go. So it's going to be its own side brand. mainly because it's going to be fostering a whole other conversation, and we should have the products ready to go. There's going to be 3 different sizes that people can buy the sex oil, and because we wanted to make it really affordable and an option for every single person. So there's going to be a 15 ml, a 1 ounce, and a 2 ounce. So I think we're going to start getting everything ready by early February, which is really super. And so anyway, it's supposed to foster a whole other conversation. On my normal Half Healthy Mom Instagram, I'll definitely be talking about things there. But I think just because of the themes with it, there's going to be some language and some things that I feel a little bit better about carving out a separate space.
Sure.
Or so, and it's just a place to really honor that. A lot of women, like, we also hold trauma there too. Mm-hmm. So again, it's been really interesting going into energy work, really understanding another level of my own healing. I mean, I just got so disconnected from my sexuality at 28 years old. I encountered too many really young women that have absolutely no libido, that really feel shame around their sexuality. And again, sexuality and joy, those are not separate things. They're so connected. So to just create a product that allows you to connect with your body in a really beautiful, safe, divine way, the sex oil is for you to use solo. You can use it with another person. You can put it on your intimate parts, but you can also put it on your inner thighs. You can put it on your belly just to kind of meditate with. You can use it as a massage oil. And you can use it when you're having sex too. So
I love that. Oh, that is so great. Like that, the self-love course I have coming up in February as well. Like I do a section on sex, and the more I start to talk to women about it, the more I think one day if I ever kind of continue education, it would be to go back and be a sex therapist, because
I think
so needed.
It's medicine that is so needed right now. I fully believe, and as a parent too, I want my children to have a much healthier relationship with their sexuality than I did. Mm-hmm. And I really do feel like we talked a lot about generational healing while we were at the Spirit Junkie Masterclass. That was a big word that came up, right? And I fully feel like this is part of the generational healing of us wiping away the layers, the centuries of shame, especially for women, for having trauma, whether it's our personal trauma or the trauma of our ancestors that is still in our DNA that we're carrying within us. So I think this is the next step for really getting us as a society, as a collective conscious, kind of moving forward to really understand the power of our sacral energy, of our sexual energy, and to lose the taboo behind it, embrace it in a really healthy way so that we can get people living for joy, living for pleasure, and honoring their sexuality so that they honor sexuality of someone else too. You know, I have a girl and I have a little boy, and it's, you know what, I have kind of the same, and I have different lessons for both of them in that. You know, I have a little boy who I have separate things that I'm going to have to work on with teaching him and leading. And my husband is, you know, really stepping up to the plate with those lessons too. And my daughter has some other lessons about honoring her body, respecting it, knowing that it is her own. So this is where I feel like if we can get this sexual energy really in balance, I think the world is going to see a massive shift.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see the conversations that you bring around this new project and to see the way it blooms.
I'm
so exciting.
I will need to get a bottle of it to you somehow, wherever you'll be.
All right. We'll find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? So I would love that. Well, Stacey, we already chatted Instagram. If anyone's interested in connecting with you, where else can they find you? Where can they hook up with your oils and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so a great place is over email too, you know, because there's no character limit on email. You know, I love DMs and I love them so much, and I connect with people all day on Instagram. But if you want to have a longer conversation, halfhealthymom@gmail is a great place to reach me. I do have a website, halfhealthymom.com. And I think you'll also see more conversation really starting up in the next several weeks around the sex oil too. So whenever this comes out, I don't know if we'll be fully launched with it yet or not, but again, Instagram, email, and I do have a website. But do people like go to websites anymore, Taryn?
Yeah, they do. They do. We'll get all the links. We'll get all the links. Last question for you, Stacey. And like you've already given so many answers to this, but I really want to get a quick like hone in final lesson. If you had one thing that you could share with all women in the world, if you could only teach one lesson for your daughter, for women, what would it be?
I think it kind of goes to this last lesson that we're talking about here, but also it bookcases what we were talking about earlier of like embracing your humanness. When you can understand that you are a divine being and part of your divinity is your humanness, and understanding that there's no separateness there, I think you get to live in your full potential. And that gives you a greater ability to honor your body, to honor other people, to see the divinity in someone else, even though they might be a completely different manifestation of a human than you are. That is how we see our strength, but that's also how we soften to one another too. Living in our full humanness, loving your body, touching your body. Again, that's what I love about Reiki, touching your body, holding your womb, holding that sacral energy. However honoring your body looks to you, but getting physical, saying yes to those little everyday joys. What do you want to eat? What do you want to wear? What do you want to listen to? What do you want to surround yourself with? When you're able to really live by those simple human joys, I think you're doing one of the most beautiful things that you can for yourself. And then you just glow and you're living as you're supposed to. I don't think it's complicated. And I think when we just get back to understanding that we are so beautifully created, that's our power. So I hope my daughter knows that too one day, and my son.
Chills, so many chills. Yes, guys, this is the kind of stuff Stacey puts out daily on her social media, just always pouring out her heart, just giving her best. She's really one of those women I connect with because she just lives her truth every day, and you just see that in everything she produces. So definitely get in touch with this woman. Make sure you're following her. She's amazing. Stacey, my soul sister.
I feel the same way about you. I'm so glad that we were brought together and that you sat by me that day, because you were the one that like popped a squat right next to me and we got to laugh.
Girl with the pink hair. I need to be her friend.
That's right.
Yes. So.
I forget I have this. It's faded a little bit, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, before I started traveling, I had every other color of hair or, imaginable. So I miss it. I was drawn to my people.
Yeah. You're like, oh yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Stacey. Everyone connect with her. She's amazing. And I will see you guys next week. Make sure you're reaching out with any questions. If you've got questions for Stacey, I'll get them to her. Comment below and let me know what your favorite oil is. We'd love to hear. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.